question always comes, if we are going to be talking about studying, one would always ask, does my visa allow me to study? Yes, our visa, those on a care worker visa or any skilled worker visa in the UK, their visa allows us to study. However, one has to bear in mind the fact that your primary obligation or your due obligation is with your employer. Hello, a big welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I've got an interesting topic once more, and I know I did a video where I spoke about my experiences and answering other questions around study based on my visit to one of the universities for their open day admissions event. It was an eye-opener, and I thought, well, I'll share with my people because we don't want to leave anybody behind. So today we are talking about what study options one has, whether they are on a skilled worker visa or they are looking into coming to the country on a different visa altogether that is not a study visa but a work visa. For those that will be working full-time, that's my target audience for this video today. What are the study options? Because I do get that question a lot, to say, Flo, after all that you've said, we want to know what is it that we can do to enhance their chances for promotions in their relevant workplaces, to enhance as well their chances of switching to other work visas or to other opportunities, the prospect of changing jobs, the prospect of joining other organizations or other workplace settings that they may want to join. So we're going to be exploring all of that in this video because there are options. That's the beauty of this country. That's one of the things that I looked at when I was relocating and I was looking at the UK. I looked at the opportunities for study, career progression, and options I had at my disposal. So let's get right into it. The question always comes, if we are going to be talking about studying, one would always ask, does my visa allow me to study? Yes, our visa, those on a care worker visa or any skilled worker visa in the UK, their visa allows us to study. However, one has to bear in mind the fact that your primary obligation or your due obligation is with your employer. So your employer brought you to the country to work for them. So they come first. Your working hours and you meeting their work conditions comes first. So what are the options? The options would be for flexible study. This can be studying online, studying part-time, studying on weekends. And you have to bear in mind that for as long as your studies do not interfere with your actual job, your actual work hours, then that is very possible. And there are options and there are institutions actually that promote all of that. And we'll be sharing in this video as well. So all the more reasons why you need to watch this video until the end, because we are now building the future that we want. We are now building the tribe of people who look at options, who want to grab opportunities with both hands whilst living in the diaspora, even regardless of the conditions that surround us. So one of the things as well that you have to bear in mind is if your choice of study or your choice of course would require long breaks from work, then before you actually opt for that, you will need to speak to your employer to see if that can fit into your visa criteria and also their work schedule. Those are some of the things that you have to consider, because you don't want to enroll onto a course and then midway it's either you cannot attend certain things like placement or things like maybe out of country travel, depending on the course that you choose. So you have to really speak to your employer first, speak to your management first where you can or where you cannot, because I know for some, especially in the care industry, it can really be a very difficult subject, and I will share with you how I'm approaching it. You're speaking to management in different work settings about studying, about the options and what their responses have been. So it's a touchy subject. So if you can't speak to your management, if you can't speak to your employer, you can actually just do your research to see how they have handled it. Will they be able to support you with your studies? Because at the end of the day, you don't want money to go down the drain where you've paid for a course and then you find out that you cannot complete it because you have not done certain placement hours or you have not managed to fulfill some of the breaks that takes you away from your work. So the number one priority whilst we are on these visas is to work for our employer, is to fulfill our actual work hours. Why am I stressing on that? Is because Home Office can actually revoke your visa if you are not fulfilling your work hours, and they've got means and tools to find out who is doing what every week. They do have the resources at their disposal. So if you're on a skilled worker visa like myself, you would want to really keep an eye on that, because immigration is not playing at this point in time. Also, part and parcel of why I'm stressing on it is because your employer can midway just decide to revoke your visa because constantly away from work, you're not fulfilling your work hours. So you need to really balance that out. You need to know what you're walking into before you even embark on that journey in particular. Also, last but not least, why I'm stressing on you really looking at whether or not your study options or your study choices would not interfere with your work is because at the end of the day, we all would like to apply for our indefinite leave to remain, would like to become citizens. It's a beautiful and lovely country. How we fulfill our visa conditions, the amount of work hours you are working while it's on this visa could impact on the decision that you get when the time comes for you to be applying for your indefinite leave to remain. They will look into how many hours you are working. Were you fulfilling in full your visa conditions? So you have to really be careful around that. Second, there are 3 study options that I want to talk about in this video. The first one is part-time university degrees. If suppose you already have got your first degree from your home country, there is an option for you actually to study part-time, to study like a master's or any postgrad diploma. So those are the courses that you can actually look into studying, and these do not require you to even change your visa conditions, and this can work well with your work visa. So it's another option if you're a holder of a first degree in anything. Of course, it is subject to filling the conditions. Some universities require you to have at least a 2 to pass in your first degree. They also require you to have prior experience in a specific industry or in a specific area that feeds into the course that you are going to be studying. Also, they require you to write a personal statement saying why you want to start that master. So you should be able to fulfill those conditions. And all the more reasons why I always say approach a university in person and ask all the questions. Approach the relevant department of that university, and they will guide you through what you need to submit before you can get onto that course. The second option that I want to share with you is an option for in-house or in-company training or study, those short courses that your organization can offer. That is a bonus. If you're in an organization that consistently runs courses, those courses are important. Get your hands onto those courses. They can work well when you want to move either departments or move organizations. You can actually mention that you've got a course in training and hands-on training in this particular area. So you could be in IT, you could be in health and social care, you could be in logistics, you could be in project management. Get your hands on those in-house internal short courses. They are valuable. The system in this country do value internal in-house training, be it for career progression, be it for transferable skills, be it for building onto what they call, building onto a course that you want to study further when you become eligible. They do consider all those trainings that you would have done within a certain specific sector. So do get your hands on those training. It's actually a great way of studying in this country. Whilst we're still talking on short courses and certifications, do not underestimate the power of all those NVQs that you can do in the country, that you can do with institutions like your sitting guilds, your Learn Direct, amongst other institutions that you can study with. That is a valuable form of study. They recognize, most institutions recognize those certifications. They can actually be something that you can build towards a career that can be evaluated. I know one of the changes that they implemented as far as who will be eligible for skilled worker visas after 2028 is the fact that you need to have studied up to a level of level 7. And I know with NVQs, you can start doing your NVQ from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 upwards until you can get as high as you can. And these are flexible forms of study. You can study in the comfort of your home. Most of these studies are online with supervision from work, so you would need support from the work environment that you're already in. And most of these organizations do support you, again, depending on the relationship that you have with your management, the relationship that you have with your current employer, and what your objectives are. So I always encourage people to say, when you do your one-to-one, when you do your appraisals, always be clear about your goals, be clear about where you want to be in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years within the organization, and also for your career. If you want to take a certain direction in your career, always mention those things in your appraisals, because that way they will know how to support you. They will know which direction they can point you to, and they can also recommend, suppose maybe there's a course that is being run within the organization or there are new trials within the organization, they would recommend you for those because they would be having an idea of what you want to do. So never underestimate the power of what you will highlight about you on your career progression journey, on the pathway that you want to take your career in this country. I cannot overemphasize the fact that your career, your future, it is in your hands. Nobody will come and do it for you. So take that initiative, take that proactive step and start really doing something about your career. The third pathway that I want to speak about is long distance learning. There's so many institutions that are doing long distance learning, not entirely the ones that are in this country, but I'll talk about the ones that are in this country as well. Institutions such as Open University do have long distance learning programs that you can actually enroll onto. So most of these are purely online. Some are hybrid where most of the work is done online, but you may be required to go and write exams physically, or you may be required to do some physical or some face-to-face form of learning. So this is something that you can do. So the fact that we are here working and work comes first does not necessarily mean that we are doing away with where we want to take our career or our career progression or our education goals. You can actually study, and these are some of the options. So this distance learning can be for a degree course, can be for a diploma, can be for any course whatsoever, and can be with so many other institutions in the country, in the region, be it in Europe and even abroad. And if you're Zimbabwean like me, there are other institutions such as the Women University, which is Zimbabwean based, but has got that option for you to study online. Institutions such as ZOL, Zimbabwe Open University, and other open universities across the world. So do check them out and start your career progression journey, start your education journey. And before you know it, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, you are a qualified somebody. So do not neglect your career progression journey because of your visa conditions. Just find a way around it. I always love to say, where there is a will, there is a way. And during my previous open day event with the University of Cumbria, some of the great feedback that I got was that they are looking forward to so many migrants studying with them, especially those that want to do like their masters, because it's mostly online, it's part-time study. Those that want to do like their postgraduate diplomas, they are welcome to join them. So please do not neglect your career progression journey. You could be the next degree person, you could be the one that's next to graduate. On it, take it, be proactive about it. For as long as it's not going to interfere with your work, with your visa, let's go for it. So we cannot talk about studying and not talk about the benefits of it, because some people would say, why study if I've got a job, I'm earning, so why should I study? So I do have a few reasons why I think we need to study while we're on this visa. The fact that studying opens up opportunities for career promotion, then it's a reason enough for you to want to study, because I don't want to be in the same place that you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. One of the things that are exciting about adulthood and career is to see yourself progress, is to see yourself contribute and add value to the organization that you work for. And part and parcel of you adding value and you progressing is based on studying. Education, career progression is hinged mostly not just on what you're offering or what you have, but on consistent learning and personal development and improvement. So it's very key and vital. If you're eyeing a promotion, then definitely what you would have studied since the last 5 years or since the last 10 years would come into play. The second reason why I would encourage you to study is for networking. It's when you go to these universities and these institutions, you actually network with other industry experts, people that you would never have had the chance to interact with in a workplace. You find them in these classes, in these university halls, in these college halls. So it's actually worth it that you go ahead and further your career. You meet and network, and believe you me, this can actually open other opportunities for you. The third reason why I would encourage you to study is for you to have options going forward, options to change jobs, options for you to change working environments, change even countries to reside. We all know what's happening with the indefinite leave to remain with immigration in this country. When you can't just sit and wait, it's when you study, when you further improve yourself, then you will open and unlock doors for you to relocate to other countries if need be. It can also open for you to join other organizations that you wouldn't just have joined with just the bare minimum requirements that you came with. So it's really worth it. And when we talk about indefinite leave to remain or moving to visas such as the global talent visa, when you study in this country, when you study and progress in this country, when you go on to you have a degree or a course in a critical area, you could become eligible for visas like that. And the indefinite leave to remain, part and parcel of the criteria that they are proposing, is based on value, is based on high level skill. How then do you become a high level skill without evidence that you studied to this level? So it's one of the things that I'm encouraging you, because we are in unprecedented times. We are in very volatile times as migrants, and who knows, probably studying could be our savior. Probably studying at a higher level could be the one gateway that will change our lives or change our status in this country. It is an option. It is my thoughts. I don't know if you've got a different opinion whatsoever. Share it in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you're one of those people whose lives have been changed because you studied a course, you studied in this country, please do share in the comments your experience and how life-changing it has been. You just never know, someone could be inspired by your story, by your testimonial. So it is a fact, you're not just learning, but you are actually strategically investing in your UK journey. I always say this, as an immigrant, you have to consistently be planning ahead, strategically planning your journey, how it will turn out, how it's going to expand, how it's going to feed into your overall goals, because we are living in consistently changing times, and those that are constantly adjusting their plans, adjusting their goals, are going to survive this storm. But if you decide to just wait and see, you may not survive the storm. So studying is another way that you can actually adjust in this unpredictable immigration wave. So here are a few things that I would like to share with you that you have to watch out for before you enroll onto any course. Check always if your workplace would allow for extra commitments. Check if your company would allow for extra commitments, if they will support your educational journey. This could be in terms of, will you be able to have someone assess you and sign you off? Will you be allowed to do certain things? Would it suit the study, the course criteria, course programs that you are enrolling in? Always check. The second thing is to check your visa conditions. Will your work environment allow you to be studying a different course? Because some courses would allow you to have practical experience or voluntary experience in a certain industry. I'll give you an example to say, the skilled worker visa for care workers, our care worker visa does not allow us to work in any other industry unless you apply for a waiver. So if one is then to enroll in a course, be it a part-time course that would allow for practical experience in a different industry, would that then work alongside your skilled worker visa? You always have to bear in mind so that you are not in violation of your visa conditions. That's very key. The other thing is, in terms of finance, always check whether or not you'll be able to pay your tuition. I think I've shared in my previous videos that for most institutions, you will need to pay your international fees. You're not eligible for funding because it's classed as public funds, unless whatever course you're doing, or you've been in the country for a very long time, or your conditions in the country are different. You always have to check whether or not you will be eligible for home fees before you start your course, before you enroll in your course. If not, always then check if you will then afford to pay for that course in particular, afford to self-fund for that course in particular. But it is one of those sacrifices that are worth it at the end of the day when you look at what you'll get at the end of it. After your course, the options that you have, the industry that you'll venture, and financial gain you get out of it. Sometimes it might be worth it that you sacrifice and self-fund now for you to earn more later on in life. So let me be honest with you. Being in the UK can be so demanding, can actually pull you in different directions, demand every inch and piece of you from every angle. However, it is a great opportunity for you to study and build your future as a migrant. And I've been privileged enough to meet people who have climbed up the ladder through part-time learning, through short courses, through getting certifications in this country, and they have transitioned into absolutely amazing career roles. They have transitioned into spaces that they never imagined because they grabbed these opportunities with both hands. So if you've been wondering, if you've been thinking, should I study, should I venture into these courses, do these short courses work? Believe you me, the answer is an absolute yes. I've met firsthand people, migrants like ourselves, who over the years took the initiative to start bit by bit as their schedules allowed, as their finances allowed, as their visa conditions allowed. Some did it through short courses, some through NVQs, and it's been absolutely amazing. And don't let that opportunity slip away, because it's a golden opportunity. So family, I do hope this video has brought you so much value and understanding of what your options would be if you're working in the UK and you want to study. And if you share a different experience, if you have already enrolled on a course, if you're already on a pathway, then put it in the comments, share with others, let us hear your experience. And if you want to come on this platform to share your experience, please do reach out. I'll put my email in the description so that you can reach out to us and we can see how we can make that happen. We would love to hear your story. We would love to be inspired by your story and your experience as we build our lives in the diaspora. And I do hope to be talking about apprenticeships in our next video. So stay tuned on this platform, and all the more reasons why you need to subscribe on this platform. And let's grow together as a community, succeed together as a community. I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.